Crikey, it's bright at the front. I'm glad you all came back from lunch. I was a bit worried. They told us that. So just to introduce ourselves, the Composite Innovation Cluster is, as Julie said, it's a response to a market failure. So what I want to do is just explain to you in the next 15 or so minutes what a market failure meant to us and how we went about solving it. I'd also like to introduce you a couple of my colleagues because we represent the Innovation Cluster. So we are the Programme Board. So myself, I'm the Programme Director. Sue Halliwell from Composites UK, who will be responsible for our go-to-market activity. I'll explain that. Elaine Arnold from SciTech, who are our lead partner. And then Pete Chivers from the National Composite Centre, who will be responsible for our strategy in alignment with BIS policies and the National Composite Strategy. So this is the team. This is we. I got the job of being the first person to speak about this in public, so this is a dry run. Next is here, just to confuse me. So SciTech, Birmingham City Council, BIS, and Composites UK, along with Axelium and NCC, have brought this together. So the we in the partnership has to include Jeremy Taylor and Laura for their help. And for those that listened carefully this morning, you would have heard that talk to these guys as well as the TSB, because I don't think without the help that we've had, we would have necessarily understood all the detail in the competition. So lesson learned number one is use the helpline, talk to the guys, because this isn't a standard competition. This is something quite unique, and it's very good, but you've got to work your way through it. So I have to thank Jeremy and Laura for their help with us. Why did we create the cluster? It started nearly 14 months ago with a paper that Sue and I wrote, and it was driven by these statements, which were that composites isn't getting to market. There's lots of innovation, lots of technology. We have a national composite strategy, a national composite centre. A good number of you in the room I know have been involved in composites. So we got together and said, we can't afford to let this fail. Therefore, we need to make a response. Driving force behind that is this, which is carbon fibre. And the idea was, instead of going to market with a whole bunch of primes, we started with the source of the problem, which is this stuff is very difficult to use, and we started looking at the challenges around this. So the first challenge is that we need jobs and growth, because people don't understand necessarily. If you're in aerospace, you do. If you're in Formula One, you do. If you're in a shed in Loughborough and you're an SME, you probably don't. And what we decided to do was, through the trade group, with Sue leading through the work that Axelium does in building partnerships, we decided to join up the industry left to right. So we started with the national strategy. We worked with Pete. We worked with the team from BIS to understand what the material strategy was. And what you'll see in this lovely blobby picture is that actually it's a journey of investment for innovation, investment for jobs, and investment for skills, which knits it together. And over a 12-month period, don't forget this is round one and round two when we were active, we had a luxury of, I think, 4 months. Lesson learned number two, you've got 2 months. If you're going to go into round three, it's a fair old struggle, so you must start quickly, because it is a lot to do if you want to build something as big as we did. Building started with a whole bunch of workshops and clustering, getting people to talk to each other. And the result was this, which our 4 cornerstones realistically are our primary sponsors. So we worked with Jaguar Land Rover, Bentley, BAE Systems, GE in the form of Dowty Props, to help us understand their industry demand. So the market failure was specified by the government in the form of BIS and by the industry in the form of our primes. We then started bringing together our supply chains, so through Composites UK, and started bringing people together. I think we brought in total 87 companies together. And through that process, we defined and started to generate the challenges. Why did we know we could do it was probably part of the secret of our success. We were involved in the Composites Grand Challenge, which was a £10 million one-year programme. That produced this, which is an example of a one-year project that invested £250,000, and it generated in the order of 7 million of revenue for the partner. That partner was an SME. So we carry this around with us as a reminder that with the right support and the right people around you, you can make this stuff happen. And it does come back down to this mixture of having the shared vision. I've checked with Elaine. We're not quite sure whether this is SciTech material, but we do know that they use this stuff. So if you get a supplier in the supply chain, you can actually feed the prime's problem, and then you can join it together with a strategy group and a trade group. You can actually start to build an effective cluster. Getting that all to spin and deliver and achieve output and create jobs and growth is our next challenge. It's fairly clear. We're a 28-partner program. Okay, we're a cluster. We are 14 projects. We've got 6 universities, 4 primes, 12 SMEs. We've got an HVM catapult, 2 HVM catapults, Warwick and Bristol, NCC. So getting the whole thing to move is our next challenge. We're in the process of going through the due diligence, so pay attention again to the paperwork and the state aid, all those good things, which, to be honest, as engineers, I'm an engineer, we're not really very interested in, but they're an important part of the process. You've got to get that right. The strategy then that we followed is this. We took the past, which was the National Composite Strategy, and I can't believe it's 2009. This thing's going to keep going forward. And then we identified who we wanted to be our lead partner. Now, it didn't happen overnight. It took some walking around. But we recognised that this company here, Advanced Composites Group, ACG, who'd been bought by Umico in the same timescale we were working on the Grand Challenge programme, would probably make a good producer of raw material, producer of processed carbon fibre in the UK. Now, little did we know when we were doing this that a certain other company in the US called SciTech Industries thought it was a good idea too. So we had the additional hiccup of having our lead partner onshored by a US company. So we were bought into, which has been really good because it really does expose our presence in the market, both internationally and locally. It has come with a few headaches, as we all know. But the really good thing about this is that ACG worked on the National Composite Strategy, worked closely with Pete in his role before NCC. We all worked together in the iComposites Grand Challenge, partly to do with this. And then when we saw the opportunity through AMSCI, we went, this is a really good thing to do because we can carry on with our vision, which is to put composites back in the supply chain. So really where that leaves us is with all these guys. I won't go through who they all are, but I'll pick out a few. Some of these people in the room. FAR's a startup, brand new company. I think we were only 1 or 2 people with a loan in the AMSCI round 2. They're taking automotive expertise and building a capability to help composites get to automotive prototypes quickly. We've got, who else have we got? We've got EPL Composites, SME based in Loughborough, who do a lot of work about innovative composites, get it to market, but then struggle with the valley of death. How do you get from 10 off to 100 off or 1,000 off? So they're cool. BA Systems, we have a steering board. We have technical panel members. We have the head of composites. BA Systems sits in our steering group to tell us that we're doing the right thing. Same with Bentley, same with Jaguar Land Rover, similarly with Doughty. And the idea is that we can't fail to deliver if we're delivering to our primes. And then the role of the leads, myself, Sue, Ebby, who can't be here, Pete, is to keep the show on the road and keep it focused on the strategy. So you do have to have a vision in your application, And it doesn't have to be a grand vision, it has to be actually quite simple, which is fix the market failures and make it happen. Interestingly, we've got quite a lot of universities. The reason for that is that the underpinning component of our market failure is skills. So Mr. Shakespeare, who some of you know, sat at the back. But in order to create the 200 or so direct jobs and the 1,000 or so indirect jobs, we need to educate our workforce. So we're starting with 14-year-olds. I was at the signing of the University Technical College, Emerging Technology College yesterday, who are also one of our partners. We're going to work with the National Skills Academy to write a composites curriculum. So the whole idea is that we're self-generating. Importantly, this is a 4-year program. Well, the funding's 4 years, but the vision isn't. The vision is that this program will sustain itself. It will go to market. We will look for new partners in round 3. We will bring new partners into round 4. So if you want to talk about lightweighting or composites, talk to these guys, me, Helen, Paul. The reason for that is that 27 companies alone can't fix the market failure. We can make a damn good job of having a go with it, but we want to keep growing it up. So that's really our big challenge, is making sure that we can meet the demands. So a little bit of the program structure. We're fairly simple people. We're all engineers and a few scientists, a couple of marketing people. What we want to do is get the partners to join together. So we've got a vertical set of technology, process, and materials, and the science and the technology. And I heard a few questions earlier on from the audience about innovation and leverage and balance. Well, yes, we want universities, but yes, they've got to balance their value for money with those of their industry partners. So we're using the horizontal of knowledge and innovation and skills, which is the component that I'm responsible for with my team, to actually join the whole thing together and push it together. So these guys and I are going to spend a lot of time walking around meeting new people so that we can introduce our partners to these new people so that they can all be pulled forward. And that's fundamental to design the program. The sectors we're going to work in are there. We've got some interesting projects, and in about 8 weeks' time, our project website will launch, and you'll be able to see who they are and what they're doing. Interestingly, I discovered this morning we're now on the AMSCI website as well. So I think if you want to find out more about what we're doing at the moment, come and talk to us. We're not secretive. I think really the key messages as well going forward have to be that it's about this. This is where we want to be. So jobs and output. For every single composites job we create at root in our project, we think we'll probably create 4 indirect jobs. So that's the guy loading up the machine, the guy training the trainer. All that technology progression needs to happen, which is why we need strategy and skills linked together around technology. But I would say that we're down at capability today. We have a composites capability. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to make wings for Airbus or blades for Augusta-Westland or racing cars for McLaren. What we don't have is a national competence. And if you're familiar with HVM landscape from the TSB, or you're not, then you probably ought to be for this program, because the HVM landscape is a key document. The idea then is that we've got the bright thinking next generation of engineers who can think about it. They themselves can then take it into new sectors, and we're very much interested in other sector usage. And then that in itself will create jobs. And it's a cycle. The idea is that we'll go round and round, which is what we want to do. The overall program then in itself has a strategy to do. And this is probably the first slide we started with in front of 86 very confused people in the NCC in April of last year. So our plan was to take the BIS strategy, align it with our market failure, and create some technology projects. That was about 3 months' work for us, because this was the first time round. You guys have got an advantage that other people have done it, and I'm happy to share how we did this. We had to identify skills, and I think that confused people. TSB don't fund skills projects. Don't worry about that. You're in a process of TSB passing you into the care Birmingham City Council finance Birmingham Beers, who do create skills. So think about your job's outputs, because it isn't about the product, it's about making the product. And you need people to make these things. Somebody asked about aerospace earlier on. I thought that's quite an interesting question. Yes, aerospace does take jobs out of the process cycle, but it does create a lot more jobs. And it's about capability. You need people with technology in order to become competent. I guess the key thing for us is about making the supply chain work across sector as well. So we are very collaborative. Anybody who's worked with any of us before will know how we do this. But I think it's about making sure everybody works together and knows why they're working together. And that's probably where our innovation will come, is in the supply chain. So we want to join all that up together. So, with that all in mind, what I wanted to do was hand a roving mic out to some of you guys, because while we're all sat here, you've got the chance to ask us some questions, if I've got the time. Nobody's held a red flag up at me yet, so I guess I have. So, does anybody have any questions for us, either on the project or the approach or what we're trying to do? Or have we stunned you into silence?